What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Team Fish Knuckles' YouTube channel. Today is the Franklin City Championship Top 8. This is day 3 of the Tennessee Marathon, if I remember correctly. Yeah, day 1 we had Entei win. Day 2 we had Lucario Bats win, and this is day number 3. And on our left we have Drew Cate. Now, Drew Cate has been doing pretty well, pretty great at Pokemon this year. He made top 8 at Indiana Regionals. He's won 2 cities at this point right now. And probably won some couple league challenges, or maybe top cut a couple. And on our right is Alex Haas. Now, Alex has, he did top 32 regionals last year at Indiana. I don't know if he played this year. I haven't seen that much announcements from him from his Facebook, but I know that Drew is playing the Night March deck. He is playing this all city format. He was playing Sidestone Giratina for regionals, and of course, it kind of died off during cities. And on the right, we have Entei Charizard once again making an appearance. And here we go. Oh, maybe not. I lied. Just waiting to see what happened. Now, this is gonna be an interesting matchup. Entei versus Night March, and all right. So we see that Drew starts with the Pumpkaboo, and I think Alex started with an Entei or a chart. I can't tell what it is. I'm not going to lie to you. But there we see Drew using Trainer's Mail, grabbing the Battle Compressor. And with this compressor, we would probably see 3 Lampets being discarded. There's 1. There's 2. And let's see what the third card's going to be. Drew's looking through his hand to see what's in there. Now, Drew does have that Megaphone, I see at the bottom of his deck, so he can use that to discard Alex's their Assault Vest. Assault Vest does minus 40 if you have a special energy on it. And since Entei has the Theta double, it can have 2 Assault Vests doing minus 80. And there we see a Muscle on a Pumpkaboo. We see a Dimension Valley, Shaman drawing 3 cards, and Drew gets another Battle Compressor, which he can use to discard more stuff. There we see another Pumpkaboo coming down, another Muscle Bag coming down, a Battle Compressor, and he has the 4th Lampet in his hand. I imagine these will discard. Most likely, well, I don't know, because you want to keep Pumpkaboos so that way, Flame Screen doesn't knock you out. But we know that Alex does play multiple stadiums. We probably plays 3 or 4 Scorched Earth for sure. And they receive 2 Joltik and a Pumpkaboo being discarded. 3 Joltiks being discarded from Drew. I guess Drew's going to go the Pumpkaboo route. Saying, if you Flame Screen trying to do the minus 30, I'm going to knock you out, or not knock you out, but you're not going to knock me out. They've seen Ultra Balls, multiple Ultra Balls from Drew, and let's see what he gets. They've seen Ultra Ball, discarding a Lampet and a Sycamore. He must have another one in his hand, and let's see what Drew gets here. And it's going to see, okay, so it looks like he's playing the Milotic version. I wasn't sure if Drew was playing the Bronzong or Milotic. Now, when you evolve Feebas into Milotic, you can get any card from your discard pile and put it into your hand. And they receive Sycamore, discarding, I think, another Lampet, if I remember correctly. Drew does have another DC. He does have a DC in his hand. I'd probably just hold it. There's no real reason to attach it. He's going to attach the Psychic Energy to the active. Maybe he plays multiple Psychic Energies. I would hope so. And we'll see a pass. And I'm still not sure what card that is. Hopefully Alex will put... his sleeves are glary. That's the problem. These dang sleeves. Alright, but on Alex's turn, we see a Trainer's Mail. Look at the top 4 cards of his deck, and let's see, does he grab a Trainer card? Looking through everything to see what he wants to get. And it looks like he got a Giovanni Scheme. Alright, a Giovanni Scheme, it either lets you draw up to 5 cards, or it lets you do plus 20 damage. It depends, it depends on what you want to use. But let's see what... I still want to know what the active card is. It's an Entei. Alright, cool. We know it's an Entei now. Alex put the hand over the screen, and we saw it's an Entei. Okay, cool. So there's an Entei in the active spot that does need a fire and a colors to use Flame Screen. There's a Charizard coming down. And the second attack is Heat Tackle for 2 fire to DCE, and it does 130, and you flip a coin of tails, you do 30 damage to itself. So we see a DCE Assault Vest, 2 tools going to the active. I'm not sure what tools those are. If anything, they might be 2 Muscle Bands, so that way Flame Screen will actually knock him out. They will see a Giovanni's drawn 5 cards, or drawn up to 5. Now this means that Alex can't, Blacksmith this turn. And they receive a Trainer's Mail once again from Alex. Oh, camera being moved. We see him grab the Ultra Ball. And we see camera's moving again. We see Ultra Ball discarding a Parallel City. So that's interesting. Alex not only plays, Scorched Earth, he also plays Parallel City. So the big question is, how many stadium cards does he play. I think that's a parallel city. It looks like a Sycamore in a parallel city. It looks like the Entei has a muscle band on the active. There we see a Shave coming out from the Ultra Ball. Alrighty, so he's going to use a Shaman to draw 6 more cards. Probably looking for some fire energies to put in the discard pile for sure. Shaman drawn 4 cards. And did he get the fire energy or not? We see a Professor Letter. And this will get Alex some fire energies that he can use Scorched Earth. And these turns are going to take a long time. You know, you're playing against 2 decks that want to thin their deck out every turn. And that's the only bad thing. This is going to be a little bit of a long game, but it'll be okay. There we see Professor Letter getting 2 fire energies. And I imagine Alex will use one of them for Scorched Earth. He already attached a DC to the Charizard EX. And, you know, trying to say, I'm going to attack with this Charizard. It has 180 HP, if I remember correctly, maybe 170. There we see an Acrobike discarding a Fire, Scorched Earth, drawing 2 cards. So now Alex can use a Blacksmith to fully powered up that Charizard next turn if he wants to. And let's see what Alex decides to do. Here to attach the DCE, is what they're talking about right now. And we see another Acrobike. The turn just keeps on going and never stops. And we see him discard a Muscle Band, okay. He's got 2 fires in discard pile. We'll probably just see a pass from Alex. Can't really do anything. Another Entei comes down as well. So a Charizard, Shaman, 2 Enteis. And there we see a pass onto Drew's turn. Now Drew does have that DCE. Alright. And we'll probably see a Night March. Hold on a second. We're trying to figure out something. Okay, another Pumpkin Boo comes down. And now he can Night March without a Dimension Valley, and we'll see a Night March knocking out that Entei. And Alex to make sure how many in the discard pile. Now that Charizard, its wing attack is his first attack, it does 60 damage, and the second attack is Combustion Blast, 2 fire to DC, does 150. So this Charizard can just automatically knock out this Pumpkaboo because it has 60 HP. But then that Charizard, since it has a Assault Vest, it basically has 220 HP. There we see a Blacksmith putting 2 fires on the bench Entei. Okay. He's going to attach a fire to the active and just slash that way. He's going to power the Entei on the bench, trying to get multiple attackers ready to go. We see a Trainer's Mill, and let's see what Alex gets. I wish there was a die on the Night March so I could see how many attackers they have. But we see a Trainer's Mill grabbing an Ultra Ball from Alex. This could get another Shaman EX. Now, that's kind of scary if you put down multiple Shamans if Alex does go this route because they can be easily licensed or knocked out. But we see Alex just knock out the Pumpkaboo, and Drew's going to send the active Pumpkaboo, and let's see what happens. Drew does have the Night March in the discard pile. Alright. And let's see, how can Drew knock it out? It looks like Alex has a dice, but I'm not sure what the dice signifies. We see an Ultra Ball discarding a Pumpkaboo, and discards DCE. Ooh, now that might seem bad, but you gotta remember Drew does have Milotic to get back cards for sure. There we see he's actually gonna use Milotic right now. It's gonna be interesting to see what Drew decides to get. Can Drew get enough Pokemon in the discard pile to do 220 damage is the real question. Okay, let's see. Drew has a Shaman drawn up to 6. We see a Trainer's Mail, Acrobike. So he's going to use the Acrobike, and then he'll probably grab... Oh, he's going to grab the Trainer's Mail. I like that. Acrobike once again. Probably grabbing the VS Seeker. Alrighty. And then here we see a Trainer's Mail. He's looking for a Dimension Valley, I would imagine so. Or a Battle Compressor. He's going to opt to get nothing. He did have a Verse Seeker in there, but he already had a Verse Seeker in his hand, so there's no real need to use it. The big question is, can this Night March do 220 HP? It will need 10 Pokemon in the discard pile. I know there's 4 Lampets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Maybe? I think there's 8 in there. We see another Trainer's Mail. Gets an AZ. Now, he could use Milotic, put it down, and then use the AZ to pick back up the Milotic. Big question is, how helpful will that be? Not sure. He needs some more pieces of the puzzle. He needs a Dimension Valley and probably more Night Marches in the discard pile. So let's see what Drew decides to do. There we see Milotic, and let's see what he gets out. I think the attack's called Serene Grace. There we see a Battle Compressor. Going to play the Compressor, and let's see what he discards. There's a Joltik. There's a Teammates. And just those 2. All right. There we can see. Not sure what just went in the discard pile. Oh, he used diversity for teammates to get the Dimension Valley. Alright, so that's good. That's good. That's what he needs there. So now he could probably attack, I imagine so. Or maybe he has multiple Night Marchers. Nope. That's enough. Knocks out Charizard EX. He's doing 220, I imagine, straight only dot. And here we see Entei coming up. And let's see what this Entei decides to do. This Entei will probably use its second attack, the Heat Tackle. Like I said, it can't really use Flame Screen. It can use it, but it only does 30 damage, so Alex will need double Muscle Band on that Entei to actually knock it out, because that Pumpkaboo does have 60 HP. And Alex does have one Muscle Band in his hand, so he can do at least 50. The big question is, does he have a second Muscle Band or not? We'll find out here in a second. And Alex needs another Stadium as well to bump that Dimension Valley. Without the Dimension Valley, Pumpkaboo can't attack because it does need 3 energies. They've seen Ultra Ball, discarding a Blacksmith, and discarding a Lysander. Yeah, it looks like a Lysander. I'm sorry about the glare. It's just those sleeves he's using are very glary. I should bring people, like, be like, hey, you have to use these sleeves. Oh, yeah, this is a Lysander. There we go. Another Entei comes down. Muscle Band goes onto the bench. Entei EX, or not Entei EX, an Entei. We see a Shaman drawn up to 6. And I imagine Alex does have another Blacksmith in his hand. He wouldn't have discarded one of them if he didn't have the other. Unless, well, he already put a Muscle Band on this bench, Entei, which makes me say, you know, it basically says I'm using Heat Tackle this turn, for sure. So we'll see what happens. We need Ultra Ball discarding a Fire Energy and some kind of Trainer card, grabbing a Shaman. Alrighty. And we're going to see Alex draw 3 more cards. I imagine he's either looking for, you know, another Stadium card to bump this Dimension Valley. There we see a Verse Seeker, and this will grab the Blacksmith for sure. To do the 2 energies onto the active. Yep. Oh, it goes onto the bench. Entei, okay. Oh, he probably already has a DC in his hand. Yeah, there's a DC. I forget that Entei needs 2 fires and a DC. That's my bad. And we see Shaman drawn up to 5 cards. Does he get the Stadium to bump the Dimension Valley is the big question right now. If he could do that, and there's a Assault Vest coming down as well. And we see an Acrobike. Let's see. He's debating what to get. Let's see what Drew decides to. I mean, not Drew. Alex decides to get. Looks like he got another Assault Vest. So now that Entei has double Assault Vest, so it basically has 8, 9, 10, 11. It has 210 HP, which regardless, Pumpkaboo can just knock it out. And there's the Hit Tackle not doing any damage to itself. If it did flip tails, it would do damage to itself. So it's double Assault Vest. You know, minus 80, but Drew can't just knock it out if he has a DC in his hand, and that's the big question. Does Drew have another DCE or not to knock out this Entei? You know, 8, 9, 10, 11. It does, yeah, it has 210 HP basically, with the double Assault Vest. And since Drew did knock out he knocked out a Charizard EX with 220 HP, so if he just has a DCE, he should be able to knock it out, unless I'm doing the math wrong. Oh, there's a Verse Seeker for a teammates. Oh, does Drew need a Muscle Band? He might need a Muscle Band. He does have the Megaphone in his deck, so he could get the Megaphone. The big question is, does he have a DCE? There we see a Megaphone going to his hand. That's a great card to get to bump those Assault Vests. Maybe Drew hit 220 with a Muscle Band, and that might be a key thing to note. Alright, so we see Drew. It looks like he grabbed a Verse Seeker and a Megaphone. And let's see what happens. See what Drew has. Does he have the D? Okay, so Drew does have the DC in his hand. Now the thing is, Drew will need some kind of Night Marcher for next turn. Yeah, we're gonna see a Night March knocking him out. I think, maybe not. Yeah. So Drew actually has enough in the discard pile regardless. Alex did knock out a Pokemon last turn, and Drew does have this Megaphone, so he can. I don't know why Drew didn't play the Megaphone to bump the Muscle Band. This makes it where Heat Tackle doesn't knock him out if Alex has to get 2 Muscle Bands onto it. But we'll see what happens. I trust Drew. And let's see what Alex does here. He's going to look through everything to see what's prized. Now, if Alex doesn't knock out this Pumpkaboo, what Drew can do next turn is Lysander up that Shaman and take a win, or take a knockout. There we see a Scorched Earth coming down, discarding that Dimension Valley, which is pretty crucial. It makes it where Drew needs a Dimension Valley and a Night Marcher with a DCE. That's a lot to get next turn. Here we see a Verse Seeker. And I think Drew's out of DCEs. He did Ultra Ball 1 away. And we're going to see a Verse Seeker from Alex. Let's see what Alex decides to get. Man, Drew might be out of DCs. I don't think he had any in his deck when he was searching with the teammates. And we're gonna see VS Seeker. It looks like he's contemplating either Giovanni Scheme or Blacksmith. Let's see what he decides to get. Okay, he grabs the Giovanni Scheme, and this will make it where he can flame screen for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Because Giovanni Scheme does plus 20. And let's see what Drew does here. It looks like he's gonna promote a Shaman EX. Now, Drew can still win. All he has to do is, like I said, license up a Shaman, and he can win that way. It's a very cool thing to do if he can pull it off. We see that Drew does have an AZ, so he could AZ and pick up the Milotic if he wants to. He can Super Rod, put back in, the Night Marchers, because I don't think he has anything else to get him back in. We see an AZ picking up the Milotic, and we see a Battle Compressor from Drew if he wants to do that. Let's see what Drew decides to do. We're going to see a Super Rod, I imagine, get back 3 Night Marchers. We're going to see Drew look through Alex's discard. Now it's going to come down to, does Alex have a license to bring up that Feebas to knock it out before it evolves into Milotic? If Alex can do that, it makes it where Drew can, get a DCE with this Milotic, basically. And I think, like I said, Drew's out of DCEs. We see a Super Rod going to get back 3 combination of energies and Pokemon. There we see a Psychic Energy. And imagine we'll see 2 Pumpkin Boosts go into his hand, or not his hand, into his deck. So a Psychic Energy and 2 Pumpkin Boosts come down. Alrighty. And does Drew have a way to search out this Night Marcher or not? He does have Battle Compressor. He does have the Ultra Ball as well. So we see an Ultra Ball discarding a Hex Maniac and discards a Milotic. Now, Drew does have another Milotic in his hand. He probably plays a 2-2 Milotic line. And let's see what Drew decides to get. He's going to get a Pumpkin Boo out. Now, this is going to make things interesting for sure, because if Alex does have a Lysander, what does he target? Does he target the Pumpkaboo, or does he target the Feebas? And we'll see here in a second what happens. Drew does have that Megaphone, he does have a Battle Compressor, and we'll see a pass onto Alex's turn. And now it'll come down to Alex. He could use, Heat Tackle, he can knock out the Shaman EX if he wants to, and then you're going to leave it up to Drew to win the game, and all Drew has to do is get Milotic with a Lysander, and I think he has a Verse Seeker in his hand, and he can, Milotic for DCE, Lysander, Shaman, but he'll need a Dimension Valley as well. So many puzzles you need in Night March, and I just, that's why I don't like this deck a lot. I know it's a really good deck, don't get me wrong, but I don't prefer it. We see a a Scorched Earth, discarding a Fire, drawing 2 cards. You see an Acrobike, and I think Alex is looking for a Lysander, and there it is. I think he just grabbed the Lysander. And if that is a Lysander, it's gonna make Drew. A little bit worried. We see a Fire Engine going out to the Entei. We see a Lysander bringing it to Feebas. And we're gonna see a Flame Screen, and we see an Echo Arm as well, putting 4 tools back into the deck. And this will knock out the Feebas. And like I said, I don't think Drew has a DC left in the deck. There we see a Muscle Band, a Assault Vest, and 1 more tool can go back in the deck with the Echo Arm. Looks like it's going to be double Muscle Band and a Soul Vest. Alrighty. And this Feebas will get knocked out. Flame Screen will do 30, and any damage gets reduced by 30 damage. And let's see what Drew decides to do. He's going to promote this Pumpkaboo. You don't want to promote a Shaman, because if it gets knocked out, you lose the game. And the big question is, does Drew have a DCE or not? I don't think he does, but we'll find out here in a second. We see, don't fake us out, Drew. Oh, there's a Verse Seeker, and let's see what Drew decides to do. He could maybe try to license or stall a Shaman if he doesn't have it. And yeah, we're going to license and bring up Shaman, and that shows me, well, if he has a DCE here, he can win. And, yeah, just a pass on Alex's turn. Now it's going to come down to Alex have a Fire Energy to retreat this Shaman. Alex has blown through a lot of Fire Energies and DCEs. The big question, does he have 1 left or not? And we'll find out here in a second. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And we see Alex looking through his hand to see what to do. If Alex has an energy, a switch, a DCE, Lysander, he can win the game right now. Trying to think of all the different combinations. He does have the Fire Energy in his hand to retreat this Pumpkaboo. Now the big question is, what will he do afterwards? He can Burst Seeker for a Blacksmith, maybe try to get an Echo, maybe try to get some Muscle Bands down. So there's double Muscle Bands. So that Entei on the bench will knock out this Pumpkaboo. And Drew does have another First Seeker for Lysander in his hand, so he can, once again, Lysander up Shaman, try to win that way. See another knockout from Entei, and Drew's going to set up the Shaman EX, and let's see what happens. I mean, Drew's going to Verse Seeker for Lysander, bring up another Shaman, and yeah, it's going to come down, does Alex have an energy to retreat the Shaman or not? Drew could play the megaphone, but you really don't want to reveal it right now. I don't think he revealed it earlier when he trained, when he got it out of the deck. And, oh, he does. He is going to use the megaphone. All right, and we'll see a pass. I might actually keep the megaphone a secret. Like, we don't know Alex. You know, Alex doesn't know he plays megaphone yet. So, but now Alex does know he played megaphone for game 2. This is best 2 out of 3 for top 8. And we see 4 energies, 5, 6, 7, 8 on play. And let's see, does Alex have it or not? He only has 1 prize card left. He probably does have it in the deck. There is more fire energies than that. I think there's more than 8. And there we see a Verse Seeker for our Blacksmith, putting 2 fire energies onto this Entei. And it's going to come down to, does Alex have it or not? Alex is going to look through his hand one more time. You see an Ultra Ball, and he does have the DCE in his hand, in his deck. I'm pretty sure I saw a DCE. So it's just going to be a second, and I think Drew will lose this game. We'll see a pass from Alex on a Drew's turn. And let's see, there's a Psychic Energy going on to Shaman. And probably just a pass. Yeah, I mean, Drew really can't do anything. Drew might think that Alex doesn't have a way to get a DCE, but we saw the DCE in Alex's hand. There we see a Trainer's Mail. Alright, there we see an Assault Vest. And we know the last card in Alex's deck is the DCE. So his next card will be a DCE. Unless Drew plays a Buttlebee. And then Rototillers. Alright, so you have Verse Seeker for Giovanni's Game Draw on the last card, which is a DCE. Retreat, and he's going to Heat Tackle, knocking out that Shaman EX because it does do 130 damage. And on to game number 2. That was a long game 1, but that's what happens with these decks. They do take a long turn 1, and sometimes a turn 2, and that's what you get. So on to game number 2. What needs to happen differently? Well, Drew probably doesn't need an Ultra Ball away at DCE. If he didn't do that, he might have been okay, but I don't know what was in his hand at the time, what he couldn't or could not have could not, they're the same words. Could or could have discarded, I guess. I don't know. You just got to be careful with his DCEs, and obviously he does play a 2-2 Milotic line. Maybe the other Feebas was prized, because we saw him discard a Milotic, and then he had another one in his hand. That means he does play 2 Feebases, or maybe he plays a 1-2 Milotic. That'd be kind of strange, but I have seen it before, back in the day with Claydol. People used to play a 1-2 Claydol line, which I still wasn't sure why they did that. But on to game number 2, I imagine that Drew will go first, and we see Drew does have that Feebas. And let's see what happens. Or maybe Drew would decide to go crazy and go turn 2. It doesn't matter. We'll see what happens. We see Alex Mulligan. Can't even tell what cards they were. They were so shiny. And I think I saw a Psychic Pokemon in Drew's hand. I saw a Milotic, or not Milotic, a Feebas and a Shaman. So we'll see what happens. I don't know what he started with. I'm not going to lie to you. But it's going to be interesting to see if Drew goes first or second. He can go, first and try to set up and basically be like, all right, you're going to knock out a Night Marcher. Or you can go second saying, alright, if you don't get another Pokemon down, I'm going to win. And there we see another mulligan for Drew. Alright, so 2 mulligan draws in a Night March deck is very good for you. Obviously you want to draw through your battle presses really quickly. You want to thin your deck out as quickly as you can. And with 2 mulligan draws, that's what basically happens. So we'll keep on seeing Alex shuffle up. This is game number 2. Top 8 of the Franklin City Championship, day number 3 of the Tennessee Marathon. And it looks like Alex did get a Pokemon. He's contemplating who to put down. So that might mean he has multiple Pokemon. And there we see Pokemon come down. And let's see what happens. And alright, who's going to go first? And it looks like Drew's going to opt to go first. And so he started with the Joltik, which is something you really don't want to start with in this Entei deck that can use the first attack to knock you out. There we see a Dimension Valley coming down. Now, some people might be wondering why he put the Dimension Valley down right now. Well, if Drew has a Shaman EX in his hand still, then he wants to play his hand now to actually use a Shaman. There we see a DCE Muscle Band. We're going to see a Shaman drawing 2 cards. 1, 2. He has a Acrobike and Trainer's Mail. So in this situation, you always want to Acrobike first and then Trainer's Mail because it lets you dig through your deck a little bit more, if that makes sense. We see Drew contemplating, does he get the Battle Presser, does he get the Ultra Ball? And I actually do like getting the Ultra Ball so that way you get a Pumpkaboo down for the following turn. We see him discard a Lampent and a Teammates. Now, discarding the Teammates turn 1 is great. Because you can, Verse Seeker for teammates if this Joltik gets knocked out. We see 2 Night March in the discard pile. It looks like Drew's actually going to go for a Shaman EX. Maybe he doesn't have another supporter card in his hand. That's why he's doing it. We see a Trainer's Mail. He's probably going to grab the Acrobike. He can't grab the Trainer's Mail. That's the rule on Trainer's Mail. You can't Trainer's Mail for a Trainer's Mail. We see another Acrobike, and this will discard a Lampet. Here we see a Battle Compressor. This will probably discard 2 more Lampets. There was 2 already discarded. There's 2. And maybe a Joltik or a Hex Maniac. Ooh, if Drew can Hex Maniac turn 1, he can Hex, Alex. It makes it where Alex can't use his Shaman's turn 1, which is like your main support of like draw power. We're gonna see Shaman draw some more cards, and there's the VS Seeker, so you can use the Hex Maniac play if he wants to. We see Drew does have an Ultra Ball as well, and we're going to see him grab the Ultra Ball. I would imagine grab the Ultra Ball, and if he has the... Oh, VS Seeker. Okay. He's going to grab the VS Seeker, and we're going to see a VS Seeker for Hex Maniac, making it where Alex cannot play his... he can't play his Shaman EXs, and we see... On to Alex's turn. Let's see what happens. Now, that is a Charizard EX in the active spot. It does have 180 HP. This will be hard for Alex to knock out for sure. And we see Alex looking through his hand to see what he has. Now, he can't use Shaman EX, obviously, because he's been Hex Maniac. That's not good when you're playing a deck that relies on Shaman EX. Here we see an Acrobike. He either gets a Fire Energy or Shaman EX. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Yeah. So 2 cards that you usually not want to get when you've been Hex Maniac. So he discards the Acrobike. Scorched Earth, that's good. He can discard a Fire Energy, draw 2 cards. So even though he's been hexed, he can still use Scorched Earth. He can use, Trainer's Mail. We see an Entei come down. We see an Ultra Ball. Oh no, Leather. Sorry, Professor Leather. I just couldn't tell what it was for a second. But Leather going to get 2 Fire Energies out of his deck. And let's see what 2 fires he decides to get. I'm saying it like it really matters. Like 2 Fire Energies are 2 Fire Energies. But he's eyeballing, 2 Fire Energies. That's all you can really get. He's probably looking through resources in his deck. And we see Alex does play a Toad EX as well. I saw that Toad in there. Very sneaky of him. I didn't see that game 1. It must have been prized or he discarded it fairly quickly. But there we see an Ultra Ball discarding a Fire and a Parallel City. And it looks like Alex is eyeballing that Seismitoad. If he has a way to retreat this Charizard, it can Quaking Punch. Oh man, I don't know what Drew would do. Like, that's a bad situation to be in. There's the Seismitoad EX coming down, and that makes things interesting because Alex can Quaking Punch with a DCE to knock out this Joltik. And then Drew can't play item cards. There we see a DCE. And we'll see a pass on to Drew's turn. Alright, so Drew got lucky there. No Quaking Punch this turn, which is good. Now he does have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Night Marches in the discard pile with the Muscle Band is 120. There we see a Milotic, probably grabbing a Battle Compressor. And we'll probably see 3 Pokemon to get discarded here. There's a Joltik, and a Pumpkaboo, and this makes it where Night March does do a knockout. I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the Muscle Man is 9. So this Charizard will go down. Drew will go up 2 prize cards, and let's see, does Drew have an Ultra Ball or another way to get out of Pokemon is the big question. He does have a DC he could put on Shaman EX. We see a Dimension Valley. Up in that Scorched Earth saying, nah, buddy, you're not drawing any more cards right now. We're going to see a Verse Seeker maybe. A DC goes out in Shaman, and we'll see a Verse Seeker or a Hex Maniac. And, yeah, we're going to see a Night March knocking out this Charizard EX. Now, what can happen next turn? Drew DC off the prize cards. So what Drew can do next turn is Verse Seeker for teammates. And then with teammates, he can grab a Pumpkaboo. And, basically, and a Dimension Valley. And he can knock out that way. If he top decks a Pumpkaboo, that'd be great as well. There we see a Trainer's Mail, we see a Scorched Earth, and we see a Muscle Band. And regardless, this Pumpkaboo, this Joltik is going to get knocked out by a Quaking Punch. So we see back-to-back Hex Maniac from Drew, which is great. You're basically saying, no, you're not playing your Shaman EXs, which is your main draw support. We see a Muscle Man going to the active Toad. No, it doesn't. The Muscle Man doesn't really matter, only Toad. It two-shots Pumpkin Boost regardless. It doesn't help at all. I mean, yeah, I guess you could put the Muscle Man down in the Giovanni scheme. And on to Drew's turn. Does he have a Pumpkin Boo? We see a DC go down to Shaman. We see a Sycamore discarding his hand. Drawn 7 new cards. Alright. Oh, he can't Verse Seeker for teammates. We see a Feebas coming down. And we'll see a Sky Return for 30. And on to Alex's turn. He can finally use Ultra Ball for Shaman now. So Alex is good to start using Shaman EX. Now it's become a Shaman Milotic versus a Toad Entei deck. This is very strange. This took a weird turn. But the big question is, does Drew have a Milotic in his hand? Does he have an AZ? A lot of different things that can happen this following turn. There is nine Pokemon, 9 Night Marchers in the discard pile. I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly. I'm trying to just remember off the top of my head. But on to Alex's turn, he's going to contemplate how to use his Ultra Ball. He does have a double Muscle Band onto this Entei. We see Shaman drawing 3 cards. Alrighty. And Alex does have an Ultra Ball. He could Ultra Ball discard some more Fire Energies. Here we see a Lysander. He's going to Lysander, bring up that Feebas, making it where Drew cannot use Milotic the next turn. Which is pretty bad, but maybe Drew will be okay. We see a Fire Energy going down to Entei. And we see a Lysander bringing up Milotic. Alrighty. And let's see what Alex decides to do. I don't think he's Scorched Earth yet. Yeah, Scorched Earth, drawing 2 cards. And he's already played a Sport card, so he can't Blacksmith if he wants to. And here we see a Knockout, Quake a Punch, knocking out the Feebas. And on to Drew's turn. Let's see what Drew decides to do. We see a Shaman DCE come down. We see a Sycamore discarding his hand, drawing 7 new cards. He is just digging for a Pumpkin Boo, and I think he's got a Pumpkin Boo in his hand now. The big question is, does he put it down or not? If he has 2 Pumpkin Boos, then I would definitely put down both Pumpkin Boos and Sky Return to one of them. But we'll see what Drew decides to do. He can Sky Return, pick up the Shaman, put it in his hand. There we see a Pumpkin Boo coming down. And he has another Shaman he could use, but we're going to see a Sky Return. The big question is, who does Drew send up? He's going to send up Pumpkin Boo saying, you know, if you have a Muscle Man Giovanni, it's going to get knocked out, but I can at least Sky Return the following turn. But let's see what Alex decides to do. That Side Sword does have 60 damage on it. And he, he does have a Blacksmith in his hand. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens here. And it's going to be interesting to see what route Alex decides to do. He does have a Blacksmith. Is it Blacksmith? Yeah, Blacksmith onto the Entei on the bench. And he could put a Fire Energy to the active, retreat the Toad, and use, the first attack of Entei to knock out this Pumpkin Boo. It can use Flame Screen for 60, 30, 45, actually 70, which will knock out Pumpkin Boo. But the big question is, the big problem is, you didn't put yourself in a situation where Drew can use item cards. So I don't know if Alex wants to break the luck or not. Let's see what happens. Alex can look through Drew's discard pile. And we're going to see what happens here. And like I said, if Alex does have a Fire Energy, he can put on the Toad. We see an Acrobike, and he gets a Muscle Band and a Assault Vest. I think those were the 2 cards. Not sure. I couldn't see what the other card was. I know one was a Muscle Band, and yeah, it is a Assault Vest. And let's see what Alex decides to do. Like I said, he can Quake and Punch, but if he Quake and Punch, that Side Sword is going to go down for sure. And he's going to Quake and Punch. And it looks like time has been called. It looks like Drew is turn number 1. Now, the rule in Top Cut is if you've taken 4 prize cards, the game is completed. I think it's 4. We see a DC going out to the active. And if this happens, we see a Dimension Valley as well. And if Drew can knock out this Pumpkin Boo, he almost just wins the game because Alex can't match prize cards. I mean, he can Lysander up a Shaman, and then Drew will be turn number 3, and then he can knock out another Entei. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Can Drew knock out this Toad right now? I think it's doing 140. Don't quote me on that. I think it does 140 right now. I think. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not going to lie to you. And we see Drew using Ultra Ball. He's been Quake a Punch, so he can't use Ultra Ball. I'm glad they caught that. That'd be very strange if Drew used Ultra Ball. But let's see. We're going to see a Night March knocking out the Seismic Toad for sure. And then we'll see what happens. So we see a Shaman not drawing any cards. Another Shaman drawing 1 card. Wonder what he's looking for. But we'll see a Night March knocking out Toad. It is turn number 2, if that's what that one dice signifies. So yeah, turn number 2. And if Alex cannot knock out a Shame in this turn, then Drew will win game number 2. Even though he hasn't taken all 6 prize cards, he can still win because of the conditions of Top Cut. It says if you have taken more than 4 prize cards, or 4 or more prize cards, then the game, I think it's 4 or more, then the game is counted as completed, and Drew will win. Okay, so we'll see what Alex decides to do here. He does have an Ultra Ball. It's going to come down to, does Alex have a, not even, I don't know. He needs like an Enhanced Hammer and a Lysander, like both those combinations. And I don't see how that can happen. Because, you know, if Alex only knocks out the active Pumpkaboo, then Drew just win because he has 2 prize cards left. And then it'll be turn 3. In Top Cut, it goes to 60 minutes. And maybe 75. I'm not sure how much time they were given here. And then 3 plus 3 turns. So Entei got kind of hurt there. And let's see what happens. We see another Entei come down. We see a Sycamore discarding his hand, drawing 7 new cards. And yeah, so you know Alex can't take 2 prize cards, and then Drew will be up on prize cards, and his turn to be turn 3, and then Drew wins. So it looks like Drew is going to win this game for sure. I'm not sure what's going on right now, unless Alex has some kind of spooky play, unless he has an enhanced, not even enhanced hammer can save him, now because he's down on price cards. So we'll see what Alex decides to do here. Let's see what happens. They're shuffling up one more time. And we see another Entei coming down onto the field. And, I mean, like I said, Drew wins this game. So it'll be on to game number 3, and it will be sudden death. And I think the rules in sudden death are each player puts out 1 prize card, and there's a coin flip to see who goes first because it's a whole new game state. And they're talking about the rules right now. How does it work? And like I said, Drew is up on prize cards. So when he knocks out the Pumpkaboo, it doesn't matter. He's going to win. And I think that's what they're talking about right now. I think they're just confirming with the judges. Sorry about this. It does happen sometimes in Top Cut. You know, people don't know what happens in this
scenario. But it will be Drew. Drew does win this game, the game number 2, and it will go on to sudden death. We see a terrain as well from Alex. Sorry about that. We see an assault vest, and Drew's just sitting back, like, yeah, I got this game. Nothing you really do. I win this, unless you have a Pokemon catcher. Then that'd make things interesting for sure. But then, like I said, Drew can just knock out the Entei regardless. So Drew set himself up to win, and just talking about the rules one more time, and Assault Vest goes down to the Entei. Assault Vest goes down to Entei, and we'll see a knockout, and on to Drew's turn. All he has to do is pass, and he wins the game. Now let's see, does Drew do that or not? We're going to see an Ultra Ball discarding a VS Seeker and a Sycamore. Alrighty. And it looks like Drew's not going to get anything. And I think, yeah. So Drew just wins. Yeah, okay, there we go. Alright, so on to game number 3. Now, like I said, game number 3 is sudden death. Both players have 1 prize card. And they flip to see who goes first. It is not who lost last turn. It's a whole new state. And we'll see what happens. Game number 3. This is a long game, but it is an exciting game. Night March versus Entei. I'm not really sure how this match is supposed to play out. It is 1-1. Sudden death, and they will flip to see who goes first, and they will put 1 prize card down. Let's see them shuffling up right now. Now, it's going to be 1-1 prize cards. This is very scary for both players. I imagine whoever wins will decide to go second, and that makes it, you know, Charizard can easily knock out any of the Night Marchers. Pumpkaboo can easily knock out any of the Night Marchers. All you gotta do is knock out a single Pokemon, and you can win the game. You know, that's all it is. Just, you know, there's going to be 1 prize card. Drew has 60, 30 HP Pokemon. Alex has, you know, high HP Pokemon, but Drew can draw through his deck fairly quickly and do 200 damage turn 1. So we'll have to see what happens. Who wins the coin flip would decide to go second, because there will only be 1 prize card. So you want to go second here and try to get the turn 1 knockout. So let's see what happens. The show shuffling up. I'm going to give a good shuffle. Who do you want to see? Do you want to see the Entei or the Night March to win? I perfectly want to see the Night March deck to win. Obviously, since I lost to Entei in the finals, it'd be cool to see a new deck win. Overall, like I said, day 1, an Entei deck did win. Day 2, a Lucario Bats deck won. And so it'd be cool to see day number 3, a new deck win. That'd be pretty cool. And let's see what happens here. Alrighty, so here we go. 7 new cards, 7 new, and 1 prize card, like I said. And they're calling the coin flip, and, alright, they're gonna reflip. Let's see what happens. So it looks like heads and Drew. I think Drew win this. Yeah, it looks like Drew was tapping his fingers, like, what do I do? And he will go first. Yep. So we see Drew has 7 cards. And, I know, Drew will go second. Sorry about that. And each player gets 1 prize card. And let's see what happens here. Alright, should be exciting for sure. Alright, what's happening? Just waiting on something. Alright. Oh, yeah, it looks like Alex is going first. Like I said, if Drew won the coin flip, he would want Alex to go first. And that means Drew can try to get the turn 1 knockout. So there we go. And, I'm not sure what we're waiting on. I think they're waiting on a ruling. I think somebody said that the new rules have been put into place, and he put 6 prize cards out. I'm not sure what. I think that's what somebody said. If I remember correctly, it has been a couple weeks now, but we're just waiting here to see what happens. And as soon as it starts, we'll get back to it. Alrighty, here we go. Sorry about that. Like I said, I think they were trying to confirm on the ruling. And they received Charizard EX starting from Alex. Now, that's who you want to start with. Charizard does have 180 HP. And with an Assault Vest, it basically has 220 because it does minus 40 damage to Pokemon with the DCE. That's one card that Drew did not want to see Alex start for sure. But regardless, if Alex did start the Entei, he could put double Assault Vest on it. And let's see what Alex decided to get. I see multiple Fire Energies in his hand. And Alex is going to contemplate what to get here. He does only have, those 2 cards. And let's see what he decides to get. Looks like it's like nobody's turn right now. We see him discard an Ultra Ball. We see another Acrobike already. Discards a DCE. We see another Acrobike. Oh, so 3 Acrobikes back to back to back. Discarding a letter. Alrighty, and let's see what Alex decides to get. He looks like he has an Ultra Ball, maybe. I see an Ultra Ball in his hand. I see 3 Fire Energies, a Shaman, and something else. And there is, I would imagine, an Assault Vest and/or a DCE going down to that Charizard. Oh, yeah, it's a DCE. Alright. And we'll see a pass on to Drew's turn. Alright, maybe Alex didn't have an Ultra Ball. And let's see what happens. We'll see a Feebas coming down. We see an Acrobike. Probably discarding the Punkaboo. All that's going to happen is one Pokemon has to get knocked out. And let's see what Drew does. He has a Trainer's Mail. He can get that Sycamore and or the Battle Compressor. I'd probably grab the... it depends what's in his hand. If he doesn't have a supporter card, I would grab the Sycamore. But looks like we see a Battle Compressor going to start putting Pokemon in the discard pile. So that is going to be 4 Night Marches in the discard pile. Alright, so there's 4. So 20, 40, 60, 80. So he needs 5 more Pokemon in the discard pile to knock out this Charizard, and he needs a DCE with the Dimension Valley. Let's see what happens. So there's 3, 4. Let's see what Drew has. He does have the Ultra Ball. We're seeing Ultra Ball discarding a Lampent and a Pumpkaboo, so that's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And let's see what Drew gets here. I imagine a Shaman EX. Yep, Shaman EX coming on down. Alright. And let's see what if Drew doesn't have a supporter card, he needs to draw into a Sycamore for sure. Let's see what Drew does. Okay. So we're going to see Joltik come down, Shaman drawn up to 5. We see a Joltik, Muscle Band, VS Seeker, something else. And I don't think Drew has a supporter card right now. I see a DCE in his hand. I see a Milotic. I see a Muscle Band, but I don't see a supporter card. Now, this is obviously bad. We see a Muscle Band, DC going out to the bench, Joltik, and we'll probably just see a pass. I'm not really sure why Drew didn't put the DC on the active, unless Drew has a Shaman in his hand and he can Ultra Ball for Shebe. Let's see what he decides to do. Because regardless, this Pumpkaboo is going to get knocked out. We see a switch into the Shaman EX, and we will see a pass onto, okay, so wow. On to Alex's turn, and Drew did not have an eventful turn 1. And let's see what Alex has. Can Alex get into the Pokemon down? Does he have a supporter card? Now, Drew does have, let's see, a Milotic in his hand and a Verseeker. So what Drew can do next turn is put down Milotic, get the Verseeker, and use the Verseeker, or no, use the Battle Compressor. So Milotic for Battle Compressor, and discard a Sycamore and 2 other Pokemon, and that way you can Milotic. We already Milotic, but then you can Verseeker for the Sycamore. I'm sorry about that. That was a little bit confusing. But basically, Drew can put down Milotic, get the Battle Presser. Battle Presser a 2 Pokemon and a Sycamore. But here we're seeing Ultra Ball discarding a Fire and something else from Alex. Now, Alex, all he needs is 2 Fire Energies, and he can Combustion Blast, knocking out the Shaman EX. So he will need to somehow put 2 Fire Energies in the discard pile and get a Blacksmith. So we see Shaman, it's going to get 2 cards. That's what it looks like. It looks what it seems like. Unless Alex can get a Fire Energy and a Lysander, then he can go that route as well and Lysander up a Joltik, Pumpkaboo, whatever, and knock it out that way. We see Entei. We see a Fire Energy going out to the Charizard. And so it looks like he's going to go for the... I mean, it doesn't really matter. He can still Blacksmith and knock out this Entei. I mean, this Shaman, we see a Scorched Earth coming down. It looks like we're going to see a Scorched Earth drawing 2 more cards. The big question is, does he get a Lysander and or a Blacksmith? He's debating something in his hand. Assault Vest, putting on the Charizard EX. I actually like going on the Charizard EX. It makes it where it can't get knocked out next turn if he doesn't get a knockout. He does have a Shaman as well. I'd probably Shaman first, but we'll see you draw 2 cards. And we see a Shaman drawing 2 more. Okay, he does have Assault Vest, and he can Shaman for 1 more. Does he get the Blacksmith? Or for 2 more, sorry. And we see a Trainer's Mail. Do we see the Blacksmith and or the Lysander? And there's a Blacksmith, so he can Blacksmith and Combustion Blast for the game. Alright, so that is the finals of the Franklin City Championship. Top 8. Sorry that was such a long game. Right here, it's an hour and 34 minutes. But hopefully it was exciting. We saw Drew not have that great turn 1, and we see Alex pull it off. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you enjoyed the top 8 of the Franklin City Championship. And we'll see what happens in top 4. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Alrighty.